All in favor of starting the meeting? Thank you. Please read your motion. Whereas the Ministry of the Environment of the Province of Ontario issued an order for the closing of the landfill site on Caron Street, and whereas the city proposes an unconventional solution to counteract this order, whereas many sites would ensure coordination with the ministry, and whereas 2015 Mr. Dave Darch was considerably involved in this particular matter and has developed work relationships that are productive along with the ministry representatives, and whereas the city is now held to submit once again a proposed submission concerning the closing of the landfill site until December 2018, be it resolved that Mr. Darch's contract be prolonged until the 31st of March 2019 while working 2 days per week, and be it resolved that Mr. Darch be required to submit an update at the meeting of the 14th of December 2018 of the regular meeting of Council. Seconded. Mr. Mayor, I'm in agreement with the resolution, but I'd like to make some comments, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, we've been speaking at great length of the Notre Dame landfill site. It used to be a landfill site. I was told that it was a landfill site that was used for construction material and overall garbage. It wound up as being a depository for sand and cement waste products. Now, after having read all of the documentation, there are a lot of pages here. Option 7 that is proposed to us, I say that option 7, now, bear what I say here, we won't get out of it unless we pay out at least $5 million or $7 million. I would tell you, Mr. Mayor, it would be, the onus would be upon us to put in a retaining pond on the east side of the pumping station that is set up on Caron Street. Otherwise, and it's written black on white in this particular report, if we go with option 7 and we have to contend with garbage, we'll have to fill up where that garbage is. I remember the landfill site that we opened up, and the odor that emanated from the landfill site, it cost us quite a bit to fill it up. Now, the dates are all set down for us. There is one that was closed up in 1980 and was capped in 1983, as well as 1984 or until 1994, along with the ministry that supervises the work. Everything is before us now at this point in time, and I'm wondering, Mr. Mayor, why are we going to get involved in a landfill site matter where we know that it's going to cost us a fortune taking care of garbage there? Because page 29 alludes to this. Just to take a look at establishing a landfill site on the east side. Mr. Leonard, Mr. Mayor, we just took into consideration an option that respected the environment the most and that would cause least bit intrusion with the landfill site as it exists right now. Option 7 does not propose to dig or remove any garbage out of that site. That's the reason why I compare costs with all other 6 other options. Option 7 would be close to $1 million. Others would have a $3.6 or $3.7 million attached to it. Well, option 7, it's quite clear, and it's written out in the documents that if we find garbage there during our work, we'll have to remove that garbage. Well, in our proposal, Mr. Mayor, really the ministry, the problem that the ministry has is this. The surface water might percolate down towards where the garbage is and come into contact with the garbage underground. Our option is to keep the garbage where it is and to install a membrane or put in waterproof soil that would prevent the soil from, or the surface water from percolating down. Now, option 7 does not require us to dig that would, or to unearth buried garbage. Councillor Zant, well, just to leave things like that, Mr. Leonard, would cost us about $1 million without building a retaining pond? Well, that's right. That's what we're working with. That's the amount that we're working with. But the total contract would be 3.5 million. Mr. Lalonde, it seems to me he has an email here in hand that states that it was capped. It was capped with the dates along with that. Well, how if that was done, how come the city has no documents concerning the capping measures, or the Ministry of the Environment has no documents concerning the capping procedure that would have been done? Who should I believe? There are two different entities that say, well, no, that has not been done, with no documentary proof. Well, Mr. Mayor, there has been a surface that was laid down in the past, but it did not meet the standards set out by the government. We're talking about a leveling difference of approximately 0.6 meters, close to nothing in certain other areas. But I just want to ask a question because he's going on another tangent here. Does that not meet today's requirements, or did it not meet 1980s requirements when this was done? No, it doesn't meet with the standards at all, period. And what we add on top of all of this is that we funnel water from a previously developed area to that particular area, which increases the need to put in a water-resistant surface. It's either that, or we build a retaining pond, and we know what the costs will be of that if we do. I find that weird that the city has no record, the ministry has no record, but we do have an email stating that work was performed in 1980. There must be an email or a record somewhere buried to this effect. Well, this was never officially closed. Let's put it this way, Mr. Mayor. There were proposals emanating from the city of Clarence and Rockland, but we sat down in the local office, meeting with the ministry people. We made sure we had the same notes, but the work was commenced by the municipality, but we were told that because of the site that was not officially open or was not officially closed, we don't know exactly when it was officially closed. All of this to say that if we were to perform work during the time in which the landfill site was open, where it had not gone through the 25-year lifestyle attributed to it, we had to go through a process that was much more difficult, calling for leading to its closure. So we had to go over and beyond that 25-year threshold as of 2014, 2015. So finally, what brought back this matter to our attention, really, and brought it back for action, is that there was a greater quantity of water and surface water seeping into that area. Now, we're talking about the west side of Caron Street. Does the report mention, at least, that you will divert water to the east? Did you mention this? Along with the culvert or diverting, yes, the culvert that is there at present, will we make use of that culvert or that water diverting mechanism to funnel it to the east side? So the water will not pond on the west side. No, that's right. Of course, during the springtime, where we run the risk of flooding, there might be a bit of water accumulating, but then it will drain naturally. It will drain out towards the wetland area. Fine, fine. We were told that there was nothing that was uncovered. Did we take a look at the report that was prepared along the Notre Dame for the Notre Dame Park? That one of our employees told us that the material was contained in Saint Pascal's filing system there. Well, we decided not to pursue that avenue because the process was even more cumbersome than just waiting 25 years later, to wit, 2014. So since 2014, we started up discussions again with the ministry to close it up, or to close it out. But the documents were prepared by the Clarence and Rockland engineer. It stated that they set up surveillance wells, and that we could build a soccer park as of 2019 on top of that particular area. Well, that was that was never followed up to its conclusion with the ministry. The ministry, this process did not follow a natural course from start to finish. I see. Well, I'm satisfied because this was drafted by the Ministry of the Environment in Cornwall. You see, I understand. I understand. Fine. So, all those in favor of the resolution, then? Thank you. Great. Next item on the agenda: announcements. Do any of you have any announcements to make? If you don't have any, I have four to make. Dear residents of the city of Clarence and Rockland, last Friday our neighbors in Ottawa and Gatineau were devastated by two tornadoes that caused irreparable damage in the area. The community will be impacted for a long time, and we are wholeheartedly in solidarity with our citizens that have been affected. Many citizens asked me what they could do to help out. As you all know, during the course of the flood that we went through in 2017, the Red Cross helped us during all of the emergency situation. At this point in time, Red Cross volunteers is housing those victims in the Ottawa-Gatineau area. You can make a monetary donation on their website, and it's also possible to give to the Salvation Army any articles of clothing and furniture. Dear residents of the city of Clarence and Rockland,
Dear neighbors in Ottawa-Gatineau, we're devastated by two tornadoes which caused incomparable damages in the area. Thankfully, no fatalities were reported, but the wounds are deep and the community will feel its aftermath for a long time. We are with you in this difficult time. Many citizens asked me what they could do to help. As you know, during the 2017 flood, the Red Cross was here during the entire emergency situation. At the moment, the Red Cross volunteers are feeding or offering shelter to the Ottawa-Gatineau victims. You can donate directly on their website. It is also possible to donate clothing, furniture, and other household items at the different Salvation Army stores. For those of you who would like to help the people in Gatineau, the items can be left at the Galerie de Hull shopping mall. Thank you. Merci.
All right. Another announcement I'd like to make is this. It was in the news, but I'd still like to announce it. The Cornwall fire chief who resides in Clarence and Rockland, Mr. Voisin, was named Fire Chief of the Year. And let me tell you that he did. He's in great voice, but he even sang a song on video that I listened to. In the video, there are 4 pictures of him, 3 of which show him with hair on his head, which is quite a change. On Saturday, we had the Woodsman's event that had 1,000 attendees. That was great. And Saturday night, we attended the Optimists' supper in Saint Pascal. Do you know how much money they raised yet? No. Well, anyway, in any event, it was great success, and they raised a lot of money. We don't know how much money yet, but that's it. Question period. If any of you have any question period, now's the time. You can step up front and give your name and your address. You have 3 minutes allotted to you. Thank you. Mr. Lessard on Laurier Street. I have 3 questions that I would have asked our town councillor, but we don't have any at present. My first question is this. We'd just like to know, and residents are asking question, on Clark Street, is it included within the next 10 years to pave this particular route? Mr. Leonard, is there anything? Well, there's nothing with regard to this in the next 10 years. There are drainage works to be performed there, and in 2019 we might consider resurfacing with gravel that particular road, similar to what we did at the bottom of the hill. What is the amount that we set aside? Do you recall for that purpose? I think it was $200,000. Well, yes, to work that part right up to the top of the hill. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, speaking with other residents on Tucker Road, with regard to drinking water, the drinking water goes up from Monte-Outaouais to to Landry Street. Well, there are some stretches in between where wards 3 and 4 seem excluded from the situation because of works that were conducted. They were not advised. Do we have any idea as to why these people that have been excluded from the process, what their options are? Mr. Leonard? Well, Mr. Mayor, There are no plans to extend the network, really. However, we're taking a look at potential grants that might be offered to us, either from the province or from the federal government, and if need be, we'll consider working on an extension. And the other option that does remain is to come up with a petition and seek a local improvement grant. Well, let me tell you, along with a grant, you'll see with Clarence Creek and Bourget Cheney, there was a huge amount that was spent, but we received a grant that reduced costs for individual residents. So it's always to our advantage. Another point, a positive point, the Deschênes Park on Morris Village is quite utilized. People love the park. They make use of it. The sports infrastructure there allow many people that follow fitness courses to make use of this park. And along with this success, there are problems. We're lacking parking facilities. The Mercury and La Palme Street residents have to park their cars along both sides of the roadway, about 40 cars. The problem with this is that we only have sufficient space allowing one car to travel in either direction, and especially on Mercury Road, there's sort of like a speed course laid down there because the cars travel by there very quickly. Either a child will get hit or an accident will arise. So one problem, a parking lot problem, and secondly, I'm wondering if the municipality had received parking lot related problems related to the park, and if there's a possibility along Mercury Road where there are some big rocks onto the park, and just push along the rocks and create angled parking spaces. I know that you're into budgetary talks right now. Are these possibilities, Mr. Boucher? Well, I think I'll have to take a look at the complaints. I'll check up with Mr. Joubinville with what has been done. I'm not aware of any complaints we would have received, but however, what Mr. Bouchard states is quite true. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of foot traffic in that park. It's used at its full potential. It's really active. Do we have a parking lot problem? Well, if there are 20, 30, or 40 cars parked on the side of the street, of course there's a potential dangerous situation there. If there's a possibility to build a parking lot facility, it would be a parking lot facility that would be built along the edge of the park or on the shoulder, but not on the park per se or in the park per se. Just to push rocks along and create an angled parking lot, that might also be another possibility. Well, I'll discuss this with Mr. Jumainville. That's something that we'll also discuss at further budget talks, yes. Any other individuals wishing to raise any situations? Good evening, sir. Yves Laviolette, 1058 Baseline Road. I don't have any questions per se, Mr. Mayor, at this point in time, but there's an item 9.6 that will be considered that concerns my neighbor Sean and myself at the 1052 address. Maybe I might ask the opportunity if ever I would have questions at that time or be part of the discussion then. Well, if you do have any questions, now would be the time. It's hard to ask the questions if I don't know what the nature of the discussion will be. Oh, that's going to be discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting. It's going to be discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting. You'll have occasion to lay eyes on the report that's been prepared tonight, but it's not going to be voted on tonight. It's going to be voted on in 2 weeks from now. So you'll have 2 weeks to take a look at the report and ask questions at the Committee of the Whole meeting. However, it's going to be discussed tonight, yes, at the Committee of the Whole in the second reading. We're still in the midst of the first meeting right now? Yes, we are, yes. Well, thank you then, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. My name is Roland Labonté. I believe you know me. Look, what's your address, Roland? 1573 Roland. I'm here on behalf of my daughter. You know who I noticed that you put in a lot of gravel. Why did they not phone me up when they performed work in the ditch? I asked this. Has this be done, Mr. Leonard? The work had to be done, I imagine, and well, yeah, the work has to be done, but it has to be done properly. It's nice. I mean, it's nice to see a figurine or a ceramic figurine, but it doesn't serve any purpose, you know. The ditch goes along that way. The weeping tile, when I laid it down, is now under the water. You remember when you came to my place, it was buried with sand. Some had seeped into the hole. Or is it still blocked? Or is it free flowing right now? Is it blocked halfway down? That's why I stated I wanted to be there to determine that the work would be performed perfectly. Mr. Mayor, I can assure you that the work was done perfectly. Well, sir, I don't believe you at all. Mr. Labonte, please, please. Well, listen, listen. Be polite. I'm polite with those people that respect me and be polite with you. Well, we have respect to you. Well, it wouldn't have been very difficult to pick up the phone and phone me up. Well, that's maybe somebody forgot. Well, oh, sure, that happened too often. That's why I missed so many meetings. You're right, sir. I want to determine if the drainage will be cleaned up, if I can be on site to determine, to see what kind of work is performed on the weeping tile. Well, the weeping tile is on your property, sir. Yeah, but the sand came from the other end, though. Who performed work on this ditch? Well, we were there to fix up the ditch. Well, how often? Well, Mr. Labonte, now it's properly repaired. No, it's not properly repaired. It's submerged, sir. It's all covered with gravel, and it looked very nice. I told you we went through a dry summer, and it's submerged. A ditch that is rounded out like that is not properly worked on. It not doesn't when they worked on this, that's when things went astray. They have everything, they have lasers and everything. Well, you weren't there. When I purchased the house, let me tell you, this is what happened. Now, my daughter came up with my son-in-law. They said, well, what are you doing on my property? They said, well, we're just laying down pins on the ground. Well, they didn't just do that. They cut down trees on my daughter's property and laid them down in the ground. This is what they used as pins. We even took pictures of that to delineate the line. Well, they were on the property they were supposed to work on. Well, you come and take a look at my daughter's property. We won't even charge you for the gravel or the rocks that were laid down on your property. I didn't want any rocks. I won't even charge you if I remove tires from your car, Mr. Mayor. When you have to be responsible. I have another question also. When I attended the OMB hearing for the dog matter, who paid the lawyer that represented your urban planner? This guy who came from Canada there. Is it that he went against regulations? And well, there was a lawyer that represented the urban planner, Mr. Mayor. Somebody phoned us up and asked that he or she be part of the appeal process and was represented by a lawyer. Well, that's how it works. When you're caught up in an appeal, you need to be represented by a lawyer. That's when we have to, if there's an appeal involving an urban planner, we have to hire another urban planner to either speak for or against. Well, but that costs a lot to the taxpayers to say yes, yes, yes all the time. Why don't we supply a lawyer to my daughter for the damages caused on her property? Because she's not guilty. I know. Fine. I have no answer for you, but I can't answer you. There was a lawyer defending our matter when it appears for consideration in front of the OMB. Well, I told the OMB folks why my daughter was not included in the 120-meter setback. Those are provincial regulations that are set out. I mentioned that. Oh, they knew everything, but they didn't speak to this. However, they're taxpayers. They ought to have spoken up on behalf of taxpayers, but they did not. Yeah. Yes, sir. When time comes to speak, their mouths are kept sipped. But anyways, I still want answers, and I'm going to have my name put on the agenda each and every time that this is not resolved, sir. Well, thank you, Mr. Labonte. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Let's go on to the next item. Council members' items. Councillor Lalonde. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Council recommend the nomination of the Clarence Rockland mental health theme as to be nominated for the College of Physicians and Medical Practitioners Award. I'd just like to give you a bit of information. Dr. Steve Pelletier.
And Managing Associate of the Clarence Broughton Family Health Team, a group of 15 family physicians and 13 health professionals. He is also an assistant professor of medicine at the University of Ottawa and obtained his MBA in 1996. He has frequently presented at accredited education seminar for physicians across Canada, commonly speaking about the challenge of making sound business and efficiency decisions regarding computer system. He is currently a member of both the OMA eHealth Advisory Committee and the Champlain-Lynn eHealth Advisory Committee.
I can add to this that he's a very good doctor. All those in favor? Carried then. Let's go on to consent items. Are there any items that you'd like to withdraw from the usual list? Fine. Well, we can go through it rather quickly. I can read through it rather quickly. Be it resolved that the following items, as identified under consent items during the course of the regular meeting, be adopted. Adoption of the minutes of the following meetings: regular meeting of September the 10th, 2018, and committee of the whole meeting of September the 10th, 2018. Item 10.2, following recommendations from committee of the whole of September 10th, resolution to adopt the tangible capital asset policy, and B, resolution to authorize the signature of a 5-year contract for printer and copier. And item 10.3, resolution to adopt the salaries paid from August 12th, 2018 to September 8th in the gross amount of $982,349.93 and net amount of $731,223.69. Seconded by Councillor Simard. All those in favor? Carried then. Accounts paid. Councillor Levert. Be resolved that the accounts payable from the 18th of August to the 14th of September, the amount of $4,408,686.73 be adopted as recommended. Seconded by Councillor Simard. Oh, I'm sorry. Questions? None? All those in favor? Carried then. Thank you. Business license. Councillor Lalonde. Be it resolved that Council adopt bylaw 2018-135 being a bylaw concerning governance of business permits, and be it resolved that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council adopting bylaw 2018-146 being a bylaw that sets out fees to be paid by users. Seconded by Councillor Zant. That's dealing, of course, with business licenses.
Send out reminder notices for permits. I'd like it written somewhere in there, because we've had issues with that in the past. I would strongly like that in there. I also, we say we give 30 days leeway in the event of a licensee not renewing the license on or before the 30th day after the due date, after its expiration. The license ceases to be a licensee. Can we not give them 60 days instead of a 30-day? It gives us a, you know, things happen. Sometimes fine them if you need to, but give them a longer period.
Mr. Mayor, the answer can be found in the notice of record. Item 10 states that a notice of record is to be sent 15 days after the prescribed date. Yes, but that's notice for arrears. I just want, well, the invoice is sent and then we send a notice of arrears. Well, not everyone received this particular notice during the last batch of invoices that were sent out. Well, the date of a regular business that is not seasonal, is pegged at 1st of October, and they're invoiced 21 days prior to that date and 15 days after the 1st of October, on or about, well, let's say 1 month to pay this notice of arrears. And item 11 states that after the 15 allowable days, there's an additional 45 days granted. From the 1st of October, well, after the first limit date, they have an additional 45 days. You have a notice of record 15 days later, and then a notice of arrears 45 days later. Fine. Well, at present, these bylaws will be handled through our computer system. That's subject matter for a further meeting, so businesses can register again electronically. They can do so online, I believe. So I believe that would settle a lot of problems. I don't know if that's in the works or not. Mr. Desnoyers? Well, possibly they could also make use of their credit cards to pay for the renewal. Well, fine. All those in favor then? Carried. Let's go on now. With the Clarence Creek rental agreement, be it resolved that the Municipal Council award the rental contract of the Clarence Creek Arena Canteen from September 25th, 2018 for non-determined period to Mrs. Claudine Talbot, and be it resolved that Municipal Council adopt bylaw 2018-137 to authorize the Director of Community Services to sign the agreement for the rental of the Clarence Creek Arena Canteen from September 25th, 2018 for a non-determined period. Seconded by Councillor Simard. Councillor Zant, any questions? I'd just like to add, Mr. Mayor, that this individual gave us great service last year. Let's go on to bylaws. Are there any bylaws you'd like to withdraw? Councillor Chouanière, I'm going to ask you to read a few of those, or all of them if you wish. Those bylaws that we need to adopt. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be adopted. Item 12.1, 2018-129, to amend zoning bylaw at the 3996 Bouvier Road address. Item 12.2, bylaw 2018-130, designation of lands that are not subject to part lot control for part of Block 282 of Plan 50M-308, Parts 1 to 14 on Plan 50R-10756. Item 12.3, bylaw 2018-131, designation of lands not subject to part lot control for part of Block 282 of Plan 50M-308 and Parts 1 to 28 on Plan 50R-10757. Item 12.4, bylaw 2018-132 to prohibit parking between 2249 and 2265 Laval Street, Partage de Bourgette. And item 12.5, bylaw 2018-133 to authorize the signature of a contract to REIS Equipment for the purchase of a tractor for community services. Seconded by Councillor Lalonde. Fine. All those in favor? Carried then. Confirmatory bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw 2018-134 be deemed as a confirmatory bylaw for the regular meeting of the 24th of September. Seconded by Councillor Chouanière. Thank you. Adjournment called at 7:55 or 7:35 p.m. We'll take a 5-minute break and we'll go back to the Committee of the Whole meeting. Thank you.